Hey there everybody. I wanted to give a little video of the gear that we used on our canoe trip. Quick recap of the trip if you didn't see the video of it yet. We left on like 9:30 in the morning. We camped that night, canoed all day, camped that night, got up early, canoed all day, camped that night, and we finished the trip a little over 80 miles. It appears a little over 80 miles, and we got done like 3:30 the third day. So give you an idea of time frame, how long it took us. Wanted to go over just a quick recap of some of the gear. Nothing elaborate, nothing expensive. A lot of it's stuff that I've had. So I guess first and foremost is a couple dry bags. These were just bought at a I guess an outdoor store. Just waterproof dry bags. This is a 60, whatever that means. This bag we actually kept our sleeping bags in, our hammocks in. I think that's about it. Maybe the tent we kept in here. I can't remember, because I did take a tent, but we never used it. Didn't know what the weather was going to be like. Ended up using the hammocks. It's just more comfortable to sleep in. This is the other dry bag that we kept clothes in, so we knew we had some dry clothes, and kept some food in this bag as well. Dry bags are a must on a canoe trip if it's going to be long term. You want to be able to dry out and have dry clothes and have dry food. We had a few of these dry boxes. Kept our cell phones and that kind of stuff in. I had one of these red fuel battery backup chargers. This is what I used to charge my cell phone with. They worked really well. We just charged them up before we left. Didn't have any trouble with battery life on the cell phones. These dry boxes, we just took a carabiner and carabined them to the canoe right by our seat so that they were nice and handy. Little Collins axe just to get some firewood and whatnot. This was our drink cooler that we took, 5 gallon. We used 5 gallon of water for 3 days. It took every bit of 5 gallon of water plus some water bottles. In the past, I went on this trip about 6 years ago with my oldest son, and I was actually concerned that we were going to be out of water, so I stopped partway through and was close to a town, and I walked up to a little carry out and got a couple gallons of water, and that got us through the rest of the trip. But this trip we had enough water with this being full. This was our drinking and cooking water. I didn't drink out of the river or anything like that. I don't mind roughing it, but I'm not that desperate for water yet. So we was able to take water with us. Added some weight to the canoe, but you got to have water. Fortunately, the weather was good. It was in the very low 80s, high 70s, and it got down in the 50s at night, low 50s at night. So, excuse me, the weather was very good, so we didn't consume a lot of water. So here's our hammocks, just cheap hammocks. This hammock is actually a netted hammock, so it's got a mosquito net on it. This one here is just a regular hammock, nylon, easy, light to carry and pack, don't take up much room. Some bug spray. For whatever reason, I don't know what the reason was, we never experienced bugs. Neither one of us got bit one time by a mosquito. I didn't even put bug spray on. I don't like wearing bug spray unless the bugs are bothering me. So not one time did we have a bug bite, and I don't know whether it was the time of year. I don't know what the oddity there was, but we were right along the river and never got bit by a mosquito. Just a sawed knife. Gotta have a knife with you. Our little camp stove. This is just a cheap camp stove I picked up. I think I picked this up at Field and Stream. Not not sure what the name brand is. I guess I should have found that out, but just a little burner for a camp stove. Jet fuel, screw that on there, worked really well. Didn't take up much room. Canoe doesn't have much room in it, so you try to pack as small as you can. And this worked really well. That's one thing that I did buy before this trip, because the last stove that we had it wasn't cutting it. So took a Leatherman little utility tool, some sunscreen. I typically don't wear sunscreen, but my boy wore sunscreen so he didn't get burnt up too bad. We had a couple flashlights with us. This is not a promotional video by any means, but this is a Phoenix flashlight. If you've ever had a Phoenix flashlight, you know the quality of them. They're very good flashlights. Just a little mess kit, cheap, but was able to cook breakfast, whatever, noodles, whatever we wanted on it. And then took my French press for some coffee. Other than that, we took a first aid kit. You definitely want to have a first aid kit with you, just in case something happens. You never know. You step on something in the bottom of the river, who knows what could happen. So we had a first aid kit with us, of course our life vests, and I took an extra paddle with me. If you capsize the canoe, the first thing to go is the paddles usually. So I took an extra paddle with us, and we did capsize the canoe, and my son lost his paddle and had to go chase it down the river. It was early on in the trip, and I said, Hunter, you gotta go get your paddle, because you don't want to use your spare that quick if you don't have to. But fortunately, we did have a spare if need be. The canoes, we took bleacher seats and strapped them into the canoes just for a little bit of back support, just to make it a little bit more comfortable as you're canoeing, because you spend 14 hours in a canoe each day. That's a lot of time sitting on your butt in a canoe. So wanted some kind of back support, and I mentioned life vests. Obviously you got to take your legality stuff with the canoe, your registration and all that stuff. I kept that in dry boxes with the rest of the stuff. But short of that, our clothes and the foods that we ate, just light foods, lunch meats and eggs, that kind of stuff for breakfast foods that's easy to pack. Snacks, beef sticks, that kind of stuff is all we took. I did take a cooler. I don't know what size it is. It's maybe 2x2 cooler. Fit in the canoe really well, with one of the big dry bag right beside it, so it had room. And it kept my ice for all 3 days. I mean, we had ice at the end of it when everything was still nice and cold. I believe it's a Lit brand, similar to a Yeti, but it worked really well. It's a little heavy, but we didn't have to stop and get ice, so there's a balance there. I never weighed all of our gear, what everything weighed, but I'm guessing we probably had 250 pounds worth of gear plus us in the canoe. So I think that's it. Oh, we did take a couple magnesium fire starters with us. Obviously don't need that, but took big lighters to light fire and stuff with at night. But the big lighters actually got wet and they wouldn't strike, so we had to use the magnesium fire starters to at least get the big lighter to light so we could dry it out. So I'm glad I had those with us. I think that's about all the gear that we took that was the necessities. I took a spool of like 1/4-inch rope, just to use for a clothesline, or I used it to put a tarp over top of our hammock so that the dew didn't settle right on top of us, since we were open air. That helped. So a spool of 1/4-inch cable, or not cable, 1/4-inch rope. I think that's about it. Nothing really fancy. I guess I did take a couple little fire starter logs. They're just little squares that they light really easy and easy to start a fire with. They were helpful. We used them every time we lit a fire, so that was helpful to have. Made it easier. Believe it or not, all the driftwood and everything that's along the river, none of it burns very good. It's all been waterlogged so many times, and it just don't burn very good. So you got to kind of get up away from the bank to find some decent dry wood to light a fire with. And but yeah, I think that's about it. Anybody has any questions? I'll do what I can to answer them. By no means no canoe expert, but that's just a quick recap of the gear that we took. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Getting ready to do some more sawmilling videos and hopefully some more videos of the cabin here too. So like and subscribe, hit the bell so you can get notified when I put a new video up. Thanks for watching, everybody.